Here we go again. Hey, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Bored and Overeducated. I am your host, Abina, aka Dr. Berry, here with my wonderful co-host,
the magical, the mystical, the marvelous Marvin, and we are joined by the jubilant and jolly Javon. Javon, introduce yourself, buddy.
I've never been described as jubilant and jolly, but I am very, very happy to be back.
I was looking for some words to go with the J in your.
I appreciate that.
In your name.
The J's are very important. Thank you.
AKA also my man, my husband, love of my life.
Hey now, you lady shawty.
I hope no one steps on your J's, Javon.
No,
I hope no one ever steps on your J's.
Can't do that.
No, they don't want that smoke.
Never that.
So today's episode is entitled "When the Snow Falls," as we are going to be talking about the wonderful Netflix series. Is it Netflix?
FX.
It's not Netflix, baby. Wow.
Well, hell, I just watch it. Oh, it's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu, but it's,
y'all, I can't keep up with my streaming. Yeah. We have every streaming platform there is, so I apologize. Let me rewind that.
Oh, y'all got Disney Plus?
We got Disney Plus. We got everything. So it's like my brain just automatically goes.
Look at Marvin.
My brain just automatically goes to where I know the show is, and I don't even think about it. Clearly, right? I'm all over the place. Sorry, rewind. It's an FX series, and it's on. Yes. It streams on Hulu. Known as Snowfall. It's a phenomenal series.
It's another straight ass show.
Oh God. This guy.
Well, I can't help that. I like gay shit, but it's a straight ass show.
So
and
you pick a quiz show for us to watch, and we'll come back.
Yeah, and we'll definitely do that. We'll review a quiz show
when
next.
The world acknowledges that we exist, and I'll be able to come back with you with a queer ass show.
Okay.
We're just going to demand the acknowledgement by coming back talking about the queer show, whether people like it or not.
Or if it's too difficult, we'll find a show with just like queer characters that we can discuss.
Yeah, we can
talk about P Valley.
We're not here to just make people. Oh yeah, we can talk about P Valley. Yes, tune in for next time when we talk about P Valley. Shout out to Uncle.
No, but like seriously, like in this series, there has been only one like queer type of interaction, and it was used as violence. Do you remember that episode?
Yeah, of course.
Well, there's been that one was violence, but there's been multiple. One towards the end. Remember, well, I don't know if we are we talking about just starting from the beginning, talking about the show, because remember the agent at the end.
The agent at the end was in a healthy.
He was in a queer relationship.
Remember, they
were going to blackmail him.
Remember
to talk about
it was Oso, right?
No, it wasn't Oso. It was the Cuban guy.
No. Oso was gonna kill him. I'm saying, wasn't it Oso that was gonna? Who was outside the window and saw the relationship? I
think that was Teddy.
Oh, was it Teddy?
It might have been Teddy, because remember Teddy went to his house and blackmailed him. They found gay porn magazines or something like that in his closet. Or whatever.
Yes.
And he talked about how he realized there was another man living there or whatever. But it really wasn't highlighted because it was the 80s.
They were trying to keep it, I guess, with the times. But you do have a great point, though, Marvin. I still believe, even with it being the 80s, there could have been more representation and diversity in that regard, because obviously there were plenty of queer people during the 80s. And the most drawn out representation of something related to a queer interaction, I guess you could say, even though that feels weird to say, because it was like a violence and rape scene. So
ooh. Okay, it just got dark.
Yeah.
So anyway, can we talk about my?
Well, the show is very dark.
The whole show is dark when you think about it.
Very dark.
And people tuned in thinking this was going to be a Christmas kind of episode. You must not have seen Snowfall. The whole damn show is dark. People dying every 2 seconds. There's crack everywhere.
Episode seems crack, cocaine.
Lot of
violence.
This show has to be. I wouldn't say it's true to reality. It's dramatic enough where we can remove ourselves from the story, right? But a lot of the interactions, it felt so authentically Black.
Yeah.
Right? And the struggle, which is what we kind of describe the Black American experience to be, which Snowfall in its entirety was about the struggle, right? But there were also many other themes that we saw in the show as well. And I would say the major theme that was so clear to me was Icarus. How Franklin Saint got so close, but then it was taken away from him. How Teddy got so close to winning the from his perspective, winning the Contra war in Nicaragua, but then it was taken away from him. How Sissy got so close to having that ideal family, neutral family unit. Am I saying that right? Nuclear. My bad. Nuclear family unit. But then it was taken away from her. How all the main characters got so close to their dreams, to their goals, and it was all stripped away. And it was
because of the methods in which these things were tried, attempted to be obtained, right? And that was kind of one of the big messages of the show as a whole, of like, when you go about trying to achieve your goals in a way that hurts a lot of other people. I mean, up until the point, not even just hurting, but like leads to people losing their lives and things like that, that it's like you never really can win, because there's just continual problems that could resurface, and then the odds are against you, where that things can kind of come crumbling down, which they did for each one of the characters. But I see you making a face. So what are you going to say?
Well, I'm only making that face because, most of the Western world, North and South America, was built on the persecution. And so I agree with that. I really don't like that narrative where, like, because their methods were not kosher is the reason why they failed to reach their goals, because when it's flipped and the skin complexion is
but that's the reality. I think that's the point they were trying to make. It's because go ahead, baby.
That's the reality of the situation. The methods that they went about trying to attain these goals just didn't have positive influences. And Marvin, you're right. You talked about how authentic it felt is because they took real life scenarios. Like, it's loosely based on Freeway Rick Ross, who was a big time drug dealer in South Central LA, worked with the CIA. So they took different stories. It was obviously shot by the late great John Singleton. If you don't know John Singleton, he directed Boys in the Hood, directed Baby Boy, Higher Learning, one of my favorites. So he's just a high praise for a great visionary director, and you would see nods of his work in the show. For example, at the end, when Franklin and Leon are walking to the liquor store and he's talking to the kids shooting the movie, and it says, you're not going to get no Oscar or whatever. That was Boys in the Hood, if you look at the clothes on the kids. So it's like all type of Easter eggs and stuff in there, but it felt authentic because they took authentic pieces, like Damson Idris, the lead character who played Franklin, described meeting with John Singleton, and he said he was like basically like dropped me in South Central. And for those who don't know, Damson Idris is from the UK. He's a British actor. He was like, he dropped me in South Central, made me speak in character to see if I could really truly feel authentic when shooting this. And he was like, he was there for multiple days. He didn't know anybody like that. And he just made him go around speaking like Franklin Saint to see if it was authentic. So that's why it feels so authentic. But
that's dope.
To me, it's a phenomenal series because I'm real big on like character development and character arcs. Right?
Yeah.
So to see where Franklin started and where he ended, to see what Leon started and where he ended, Wanda, where she started and ended, it's just all masterful pieces of work. And yeah, at least we're gonna discuss it a little more today and in depth, some of our favorite parts, maybe some of our least favorite parts, but it's a phenomenal series overall. Phenomenal series.
Absolutely. I actually wanted to start this episode off quoting my favorite line from the show.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Y'all ready for this?
Yeah, I'm curious what it is.
I built this. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned that you tear this shit down all because you don't like how another nigga talk.
That was a great scene.
Drive, motherfucker.
That was a great scene.
That was so good. It all like three of those main outbursts that Franklin had were just golden. But that one in the car was just dang. I feel like I need to get my shit together and drive. I'm sitting in my house. I'm like
when he said, "Drive, motherfucker, tell me why." I sat up in my seat and I said, "Oh my God."
I know. Didn't it make you feel like you had to get up and go? Like, where does Franklin want me to go? I don't want no smoke. What is happening?
But like that's something that we should also focus on. I'm not focused on, but like something I noticed throughout the series in the very beginning, because he was so green and so new.
Yeah.
He didn't have that many temper tantrums.
Mm-mm.
But the longer the show went on and the more wrapped up he got into the game and started to lose himself mentally and started to lose grasp of his social connections, he started to have more and more temper tantrum. He started to lose grip of reality every single season. And it was actually, I think, where he was visiting Melissa or Melinda, his former childhood crush who lived next door. Mel, there we go.
Yeah, Mel. I was like, who is he talking about?
Mel, my bad.
Yeah, it's Mel.
I feel like that was the turning point where he was no longer just Frank. He was now the boogeyman.
Yeah, no.
And that was the point. That's the point where I thought to myself, oh, he's no longer grounded. Like he thinks he's above.
That's interesting. I feel like when he was dropped off by Mel's father.
Oh, my bad. Let me finish that. So what I mean by that was the scene where Mel was like, oh, he's still crippled. He can't do anything to me. And then he like let go of the cane. Yeah. It was at that moment.
Oh, that's
talking about the symbolism of that. Yeah.
I see. I thought it was earlier than that when he started to change, because I feel like when Mel's father, this was earlier on, probably, I don't even remember, maybe season 2 or whatever. But when Mel's father had got him to get in the car with him and drive around, and the fact that he was like dropped off into that scene to see what the crack cocaine was doing to his community, where that woman was there smoking the pipe, then she picked up the baby and everything. I'm like, man, your consciousness. And like that part also before he even got out the car where he said, how do you sleep at night? And he's like a baby. That I feel like he was already gone. Yeah. Because how could you see that? And because you're getting all this money and everything, and like he sounded even sinister with saying like he sleeps like a baby at night, right? Knowing that his community is being destroyed, and then literally seeing it and like not skipping a beat, right? Like literally being dropped off at that crack house and just being like, well, I'm still gonna go make my money. I'm gonna pretend like this isn't happening. So I feel like there was just a slippery slope from that point on of him just kind of continuing to fall into the darkness of it all and being more focused on money and power than he was what it was doing to his community.
So I want to get you guys' thoughts on, because we're talking about just the show in its entirety, but obviously we're going to talk about how it wrapped up, and there was various differing opinions on what happened. So I want to get you guys' thought on like how the show, how it ended, right?
Yes.
So obviously, it's been out a while, so I hope folks seen it, but spoilers if you haven't seen it. Franklin and Sissy go to meet a CIA agent with Teddy, right? And the plan is for Teddy to transfer money to Franklin, and then they would let him go, and Franklin would have the money, and they would turn in the Cuban Russian agent, and everybody rides off in the sunset. That obviously did not happen.
No,
that did not happen.
Not even close.
And it ended up with Sissy Saint shooting Teddy McDonald before he can make the transfer, and all chaos ensued.
And right after her finding out that Alton was actually dead, too.
Yeah. And all chaos ensued. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. I think that would be
that ending, not the like very, very
that works up to the
okay. So we starting here first. Okay.
That pretty much was the ending.
Fair.
Sissy said, "You are not going no further than this." Yeah. And it was actually a little bit before that particular scene where she and her son Franklin Saint were talking, right? And the ultimatum was this: you get that money and we go our separate ways, right? And so when they got to that point, and I feel like she kind of lost it, because how are you going to allow that man get so close? He was so close. He was so close. Like, how dare you? I mean, okay, I'm not upset with Sissy. because I understand the logic behind it. She was actually kind of mad for like shooting that man right then and there. But let me just slow down a little bit. She already saw where Franklin was. She knew there was no turning back.
Yeah.
Right? She was never going to allow him to get that far. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But the way that Teddy responded to Sissy, I felt like only exasperated the issue.
It was arrogance, the way he responded.
It was a level of disrespect. That type of arrogance that you're talking about. It was the disrespect was at an umpteenth level. Like he was talking to her like she was some type of dog.
Mm-hmm.
No care, no compassion, no consideration for her feelings and how she might feel about the possible death. Well, no, Alton's dead. About the death of the love of her life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I felt he went mad at that moment, but I felt like she was also a bit lucid because she knew that this was the only way to truly save herself, her son, and to get back what was taken from her.
What you think, bro?
I mean, I agree with most of that. I do agree with like that in that moment when Teddy responded to her asking about Alton in such a cold, callous way. That was very triggering. And I do agree that she was lucid enough. But I think this was more about her feeling like Teddy took everything from her, right? Mm-hmm. I think she had already accepted that her son was gone. Even though he was still, of course, like Franklin was still alive, but like he was just mentally so far gone. Because even before this meetup, like Vaughn said, I think that was you that said that she had said like we're never going to see each other again, and are you okay with that? Yeah. So like she had accepted that, and I think because there was this idea presented that Alton was still alive in this Puerto Rican, I think she said in Puerto Rico, right, in a prison or whatever. She was like, well, then there's at least a sliver of something. I've already lost my son to this man, right? I've already lost everything else because of Teddy at the end of the day. But Alton's still here, so he didn't take everything from me. And I think she found that redeemable almost in that moment and was planning to let him live. But then on top of him confirming that, no, Alton is dead. Why did you even believe otherwise, right? As well as the way that he delivered that news to her.
It was you silly trollop.
Yeah. You silly trollop. Yeah. Like he was like
you already about to get the money.
Yeah, right. He was like, duh. I said that because I was basically kidnapped.
You had me tied up.
Yeah. He's like, I'll say whatever to survive.
Right.
And it made her, I'm sure it made her feel even more foolish because for a moment she went against her best judgment and thinking that maybe Alton was alive when she had known all along the type of person that Teddy was, that he didn't give a shit about her son, her, none of that. But she wanted so badly for the love of her life to still be alive that she went against her own best judgment and believed him for even a moment. And I think that's what made her want to just kill him. Like, now wait even more of a millisecond. Because she's like, you done made a fool out of me for the last time. I have spent this whole damn series on and off believing in your ass. And then you have the audacity when I had already told myself I was never going to believe in you again. Because remember how upset she was when she found out Teddy was back in the picture. And she had told herself then at that dinner, her little birthday dinner, that the white devil is never going to get the best of me again. And he did. Mm-hmm. And I think she was just over it.
So let me ask y'all, was she right or wrong for shooting Teddy?
That one's a tough one.
I'm not sure if I want to answer that I'm not sure if I want to be recorded with y'all know how I feel. I'm like Cleo and set it off.
Tell me how you feel. I really want to know how y'all feel.
I think that she was trying to do all she could at that time to save her son. I think she firmly believed that him getting that money would only lead to him probably dying. Okay. Eventually. Right. He was like a cat with 9 lives and he was already on life 8.5. Mm-hmm. So she just was like, he don't need no more money. He needs to go back to being a regular ass person. Even though we saw what regular person looked like for him after what he had been through, but but then there's a part of me like, sissy, with 15 seconds and killed you. Like, you know, just like, could you just let the man, you could have had the gun pointed and been like, say the password, ho, right? And then after he say it, you could have, you know, but I don't know. It's hard because part of you is like, damn, the money, you know, even though you hate to even focus on that, but it's like, what was it? 750.
It was
what was it?
It was third. So he agreed to give him.
Oh
half.
yes, half.
So
half.
it's about like 37 million or something like that, or 30, 35 million,
But that's
something like that. It's a lot of money. We talking about the 80s, so it's really a lot of money. I'm gonna tell y'all how I felt initially watching it. I felt shocked. I was like, oh,
me too.
I could not believe this. Like, she shot him, and Franklin worked so hard to get to this point. And I watched it a second time. And I might even watch it the third time. And I really digested it, right? And I feel that she did the right thing. And I'll tell you why. Teddy was a liar.
Big time liar.
He only cared about himself. So he's going to say what, even before then.
Yeah, how we even know he was on the phone with the bank?
And he could have been, but how do you even know that this wasn't set up beforehand in case something went wrong? But I even tell you before, the plan was for, hey, Alton and Sissy to get out the country. We're going to go live in Cuba. They will be fine. This is an agreement that I had with you, between Franklin and Teddy.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna move them out the country. We're never gonna speak about this again. You know, just leave my parents alone or whatever. Leave my father alone. Do not harm my father. Teddy went to Cuba to kill him anyway, and told everybody that he didn't. He went to Cuba to kill him anyway.
That was cold.
And told everybody he didn't. When he was sitting in the chair in distress after getting burned and whipped and mangled and all that, he's going to say anything. Just like he lied about him being in the prison. Based on Teddy's character, who is only out for self. He showed that consistently from season 1 to up when he died. He is only out for self.
He was such a good liar.
Relationship with his brother was bad. Relationship with his father was bad. He left the CIA, tried to work himself back in. That was the reason for the money or whatever, trying to get himself back in.
Left the CIA.
Remember? Well, he got kicked out. He got kicked out, and he tried to work himself back in. But what I'm saying is, he was never honest. And if Teddy was allowed to live, he would have hunted down Oso, killed Oso.
Yep.
He would have hunted down Franklin. Would have hunted down Sissy. Would have hunted down anybody with knowledge. Veronique, and that means their child would have been at risk. You know,
he would have never gotten to Veronique.
I don't know that. I don't know.
Well,
this dude is resourceful.
He is resourceful, but you met Veronique Mama. You met Veronique Mama.
Veronique Mama, that they resourceful too. She probably would have been the last one. He probably would have been the hardest one, but he would have tried.
It would have been like 85 years old by the time they found.
Veronique
Mama was I'm here, now I'm gone.
Yeah. And seeing that happen, seeing her shoot him. Even though I was like, man, he was just so close to getting that, I understood because
it was a mother sacrifice.
She even said it. She was like, you know, you putting my grandbaby at risk. You're putting yourself at risk. You're putting all of us at. He cannot live. This is one person who can. And remember, Oso kept saying it. Gustavo kept saying it.
Don't let him live.
You have to kill Teddy. He will find me. You have to kill him. So for the sake of everybody else living, she sent herself to jail because, you know, and she probably felt guilty because she allowed this to go on so long with Franklin. You know, she bought into it. This money started coming in. She was like, fuck it, we're going to make the best of it. And it really turned him into a monster. When they was at that funeral and Louis said, you know, you the devil. And he was like, yeah, I know.
But Teddy was really like the devil.
Teddy was real. I mean, yeah.
Franklin was maybe like the devil's minion for sure, like closest right hand humanly possible. But he didn't even realize.
I think it was when Franklin wanted to get that money back at all costs. That's why I think he was full blown pure evil. He's gonna do what he told his mama. I will never speak to you again. He was ready to end his relationship with Lee when he didn't give him the money. Anybody who is in his way, he was ready to trample over to get that money. And I understand you did all this killing and you put yourself in these situations and just a bunch of shit you had to do to acquire that money. So to have it stolen away from you will push you over the edge. But I just think Sissy did what she was supposed to do.
Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Bina, I agree with you that this man was the devil. He put Uncle Jerome life in harm's way. That was the saddest moment in that entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm tearing up right now because that was probably one of the few characters that had the most heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like Jerome.
Willing to put his life on the line for anybody.
Yeah.
Also willing to fight with anybody, but also willing to put his hand out and be like, look, the fight's over. Now let's get back to this bag together.
Yeah.
Or let me give you a nice story. Or let me give you a hot meal. The fact that Franklin sacrificed his uncle,
Basically,
who taught him everything. It was that was a defining moment in the series that showed Franklin lost his soul a long time ago.
But you don't think
That
there was
hard.
any good intention behind that of him trying to get Louis saved, or knowing that Jerome would want his wife saved?
I think it might have been. Yeah, it might have been something.
Because that's kind of how I'm not saying that Franklin did not do a lot of evil shit. He did, but I did view that part as genuinely him trying to inform Jerome, not because he thought he was going to get killed, but because he was like, this is your wife, and I know you would want to try to save her life. I'm not finna save her because I don't care about her enough for that, but I know you do. So I kind of viewed it as
I think
almost an act of kindness, even though of course it ended in tragedy. I said almost, keyword there, but like that he knew that Jerome would have wanted to do all he could to try to save his wife. And I think if Jerome was given that situation and was told, hey, you're gonna die at the end of this, but Louis is gonna live, I think he would have still went.
I think
because he loves her that much.
I think a small part of him caring for his uncle did that. But remember, he said why he did it. You could set this stuff up with Teddy. You said you like you can get to Teddy.
Oh
that's why I'm saving you.
Yeah,
you can get to Teddy. That's why I'm saving you. And then what did she do? Set the thing up for him to drop off and put the plan in motion so he can get with Teddy.
You're right. I just forgot about
because
that.
Louis is just like Franklin. Like, her ego is so big that she
pissed me off.
Her
too,
main
man.
focus, even when she's in the dirt, she's always thinking about the game, and not about the money. But the
and Jerome was just like, "Baby, we got some money.
Like, we good. We can get
good.
up out of here."
I got my Jerry curl. Come on, man. Like, can we just ride off into the sunset?
And she talking about the people. The people fear you when you come around. They don't look at me that way. And I'm like, what does that
They
matter?
don't talk to me when I'm around. I'm the one making the deals, and they're talking to you.
Ain't nobody here to see you, Otis.
But it's
that's what I was saying.
it was beautifully written. But when I talk about the character arc of Franklin's sake, to see where he started, and to see where he ended, and it was a lot of symbolism. It was a whole lot of symbolism to see him at the very bottom, living in the house, is boarded up. He's getting ready to get evicted. He's developed this drinking problem because remember
the house that was also still from the very beginning of his life bought from drug money. Like the symbolism of that as well. When Sissy found out that Jerome's down payment for that house was from drug money, it was weed, but still nonetheless, like the drugs were a part of Franklin's life from the beginning of his life. From the only reason he had shelter as a child was because of drugs, and then he grew into this person who sold these drugs, created then like the worst drug of all.
Can we not say drugs? Can we say like pharmaceutical aid?
Not even drugs.
Crack? I don't know. For marijuana, sure, but crack. We talking about crack, boy. You saw that the people. You saw them people. Did that look like a pharmaceutical aid?
But
depending on how it is utilized, it can be.
Child, don't.
Come on.
Let's be for real.
But it was just interesting to see over the entire series. Anybody who offered him alcohol, even at the wedding.
Yes.
Remember what he said?
Saying no.
I don't drink. And the reason for that is his father had a massive alcohol problem.
Yep.
And what did it do? Ended up with him being homeless, out on the street. So to see him become Alton in the end, to see him transform into his father. When he's talking to Lee, he was like, I can't see my son. I called her, I told her I want to see my son, and she don't want.
Yeah, that was Alton.
That's him in Franklin. That's him in Franklin. So to see him starting as a kid with so much promise, and then he gets into the
and
drug
trying to do everything to not become his father.
Trying to do
he
everything.
Did the same thing.
You know, when Louis drove him around and showed hey, there goes your father, and he just see him walking around or whatever, looking like a zombie. To see him become that is very sad, but it's very poetic. And like I said, I'm really into character developments, character arcs, even so much up to the point where he's walking to the very liquor store where he worked at in the beginning.
Yep. That's the
liquor
that
store
was
where he worked at in the beginning. And it's just like...
Or how even the show started in the beginning of them walking down the street, that same street all the potential, but the camera at that time went high up, like all these great things are going to happen, or there's so much potential for things, but at the end, it's at this angle of straight at Franklin of like, this is what things have become, and it doesn't feel as hopeful. There's something about a camera angle going up into the air that feels like, oh, something exciting is going to happen or something good's going to happen. And at the end, it just was kind of this stagnant watching Franklin going down the street with Lee in the background trying to, call him back, which didn't, obviously happen. But he said he was free.
And I like the way that they portrayed the dark side of it, what it can do, because a lot of drug series, portray that, hey, we getting money and we doing this and you up and you up and you up, and it doesn't tell the story of, hey man, you lost your father because of this. Hey, your mother is in jail because of this. Hey, you lost countless friends and you've decimated a community and you've lost everything and now you can't be with your child, all because you chased this fast money that doesn't lead to, like, the reality of the situation is Franklin knew too much about what the CIA was doing.
Yeah.
So at some point they were going to kill him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the paranoia that drove him to where he is. Remember, he was talking.
He was like, they called me that one time.
He was like, they coming to get me. I'm bored. You can't get me. You can't get me. I'm fine. And it just drove him to madness. Drove him to madness. And
they left him alone because they were like, ain't nobody finna believe this.
Come on, man.
This dude, he's addicted to alcohol. He mumbling to himself down the street.
And the reality
for $20.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is, it's a lot. I know it's a lot of people who are like that, like in hoods now, who will speak.
That's the point.
I used to do this. I used to do this back in the day. I used to get X amount of dollars back in the day. And they tell war stories about how, man, we was doing this and we had girls and I was doing this and I had 3 houses and 5 cars. And now you literally, like, I'm working with people. Now you're working a job that's paying you $11, $12, $13 an hour.
Yeah.
And it's just the reality. It's sad. And but it was just shot so beautifully. And I really, really, really enjoyed the series. Phenomenal series.
When we got to that last part where Franklin was now his father, busted eye, looking for something to numb the pain, I thought about all of the homeless people on the streets of Atlanta. I thought about actually some of the senior citizens who worked at DePaul, our alma mater, because I used to listen to some of their stories about how they used to be the man in Chicago or the man in Indianapolis, or listening to some of the homeless people on the street talking about all the things that they did in Korea or like just back in the day, like old Atlanta, and how everything was just so fast and everything was so lively and there was a lot of money and stuff like that. Like that last scene hit so close to home because I used to do Hosea Feed the Hungry. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas for like majority of my childhood, all the way up until like the end of high school, and came back a few times for university. And those are the type of stories that I would hear all the time from the people who would show up and who wanted to share, who wanted someone to just listen to them, right? Where's their help? Because they don't have to stay there. In my mind, I'm thinking Franklin is homeless.
He is,
right?
Yeah.
Where is his help? Where is the help for people like him who is capable, but they just had a bad luck?
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think Franklin deserved help for what he did to that community?
Yes, I still.
Okay.
I still believe that he deserved help.
Yeah.
Even with his past transgressions and the horror. I mean, like, he did horrendous things.
A lot of blood on his hands.
I think it's still, and maybe this is just a psychologist in me, I don't know. I think it's still worth trying to see if he is a redeemable person, because his father did a lot of the same thing.
Absolutely.
And his father became this greater version of himself and healed, psychologically and all that. Because I think there is something that happens to a person when they start to become the thing that they were causing other people to become. So because he was addicted to alcohol, right, at that point, even though it's not the same thing as crack cocaine, it still showed him what it's like to be, at the constant mercy of a substance.
Absolutely.
And living your life where you are dependent on that. And I think that for Alton, the same kind of thing happened, where he was put, in the shoes of people he was maybe hurting, and it allowed for him to say, like, no, I do want to live my life differently, because it's so easy to be removed from stuff when like you got all this money and you're like, oh yikes, that that crack house and the people in it, like that looks really bad, but I'm gonna just turn a blind eye.
Are you talking about when Alton was an informant for the FBI, or are you talking about when Alton was homeless?
All of the above. I just feel like Alton's experiences, and when he knew what it was truly like to be down and out, when he knew what it was truly like to be addicted to something, that changed and altered his perspective, which allowed for him to become a better person, right? Like, even when he came back to Sissy and saying and truly understanding the ways that he had hurt her and hurt his son, and then really trying to redeem himself. I'm not saying always that people can be redeemed, but I do think that if, like in Franklin's situation, right, he was able to turn a blind eye and just focus on money and power and act like he didn't really see the damage he was doing. But when he became the damage, like when he was living a life of how these things can mess you up, I think that gives him a chance for redemption, of like, maybe he really would, if he was able to clean his life up and everything, say like, this stuff is not worth it when people are losing their lives and even living and not really like living because they're addicted to something.
Similar to how Lee turned around, right? Lee,
perfect example. Like how Leon did, right? Leon was like, yo, this is not...
rough.
Okay.
He started off real rough, but by the series end, he was like, yo, we got to do something to change this. We got to do something to help our people. And you started hearing like little tidbits of that in earlier seasons, maybe like in season 5, he started mentioning a bit more. We got to do something for our people, man. We got to do something for our people. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Wanda is his eyes and listening.
Wanda was a big, but also Wanda was a big part of, I think, Leon realizing like, oh, this is not okay. I think when something big enough happens that it forces you to like, you no longer can deal with your cognitive dissonance by being like, I'm gonna just pretend this isn't happening. When something forces you to look at it, like for instance, I think if like Sissy somewhere in the series had maybe early on, especially had gotten addicted to crack or something, that would have changed Franklin. Like when something is forced in your face, where you can no longer just be like, I'm sleeping like a baby because I'm pretending this shit isn't happening, then it gives a person a chance at redemption, because now you can't be mentally removed from it because it's now a part of your life. So I do think that is what, his alcoholism made it possible for maybe some redemption for him to really change his life, just like his father did, and just like Leon did, by seeing Wanda and also seeing other people he cared about dying, and also then experiencing Africa.
I think you're absolutely right, especially with Franklin. Now that
Ghana.
Because
Ghana.
With Ghana specifically.
Yeah, Ghana, yes.
But you're right what you said about Franklin, because remember, Ivy brought up a good point before Ivy died. He brought up to him and he was talking to him and he said, you could be anything.
Yeah.
You could be anything. He was like, guys like me, he was like, this is just what I do. Drugs, guns, whatever, this is what I do. You could be a Fortune 500 CEO. You got the potential to be anything that you want, and you chose this route, and that is the most dangerous, right? So by what you're saying is, if he is redeemed, you never know. We hear stories in whatever communities about people did something in the past, turned it, and now doing something positive. You're right. Franklin,
he could. He's super intelligent, a great leader.
His mind and being resourceful and all that could lead him.
Good problem solver. He had good skills.
We've seen Leon turn into what Franklin could have been.
Yeah, that was the whole point.
Yep.
I think that's exactly what it was. And imagine what they could have been if they did that together. And Leon even tried to get him to do that. It was like a crossroads when they were in front of Chose. And he said, you know, you could do this. What was he offering him again? To work with him on some kind of project.
Yeah, he was building up like a...
something in the community.
A center.
So the legal project was trying to reverse a policy decision that increase the criminalization of those who was using crack cocaine.
Yes.
I don't remember the specific name, but it's an actual policy that was enacted during the
Reagan administration.
90s. Yeah.
It was like
and that's what he was offering him. He's like, man, we could really use your help. And it was literally at that same moment that Franklin was like, can I hold $20? And then went and chose and bought the alcohol. It was to show us that at that time, at the very least, or, you know, since the series is over, I guess, just saying like Franklin chose what he was going to choose. He was not going to choose the path of redemption, at least not from what we got to see. And instead of choosing to do and work on something greater with Leon when he had an opportunity to, he chose the alcohol. I think that was done very on purpose and strategically to be symbolic of that in that moment, because he never answered Leon. He asked for $20 for the alcohol instead. He ignored what Leon said. Very similar to what we saw with Wanda in the beginning when she was using the crack and Leon provided her with a crossroads as well. It was done very well to express where people were.
Going back a little bit, we noticed throughout the show that when people started using crack cocaine for the first time, the camera would like zoom in on their eyes to show, oh shit, they're hooked from the very beginning.
Yes.
It was the same exact thing for Franklin Saint when the bartender said, you know what, this shot on me. And he picked it up and he took one sip. And what did we see in that scene? It was like still frame, zoom in, his eyes dilated. And next thing we know, he always had to drink after that.
That's crazy. No, that was great.
That's a great observation.
Yes.
Very great observation.
See, there's still so much to like pick out of. It was so well done.
And it's definitely something that you can watch again and you're going to pick up on
more stuff.
And stuff like that. So I'm
like the boys in the hood thing that you saw at the end. I'm sure a lot of people did not notice that that's what was being shot, right? Because I didn't. Yeah. I didn't until you said that.
Yeah. No, it's just a phenomenal series. One of my favorites from start to beginning. It was just great, man. Just
really well done.
Absolutely great.
No stone left unturned. And I would like to believe if the story is being continued, somewhere down the line, Franklin snaps out of it.
That's what I want.
Well,
I tell myself
become like
they are doing so. There are rumors of a spinoff based on Wanda that is supposed to happen. So I'm hoping. So we can't get too excited because everything with the writer's strike is going on right now and all that. But there's supposed to be a spinoff centered on Wanda, and I hope and pray that we
see
get
Franklin
some kind of redemption. So him get a little cleaned up,
him meeting his child maybe.
Selfishly, I wouldn't want Gail Bean, the actress who plays Wanda.
She's phenomenal, by the way. She's phenomenal.
Be in that spinoff. Why? Because she is phenomenal, exceptional as
Roulette,
one of the characters on P-Valley.
But she can do both.
Roulette. She can do both. Don't shout out girl out.
She was already doing both.
She was already doing both.
But like, I don't want any type of scheduling conflict.
I
follow her on Twitter. She absolutely wants to do this.
But also, you got to remember her.
I follow her on Twitter.
But
she retweeted me before.
I remember Gail Bean when she was on Insecure.
That's so cool.
So take that. She retweeted and interacted.
That is so cool.
She also retweeted me. I just want to put that out there.
No, she didn't.
She quote tweeted me. She quote tweeted me.
Here's the thing.
Tweeted me as well.
Here's the thing. Hold on. Her character on P-Valley, although a notable one, is more of a side character.
Right.
She's gonna have her own spinoff, which she can balance both of those things. When they need her for P-Valley scenes, she'll be there, but she's not the main character on P-Valley. We got Mercedes and others who are the main people, and Uncle Clifford. I love Uncle Clifford, who are the main characters, right? And then we have her coming in and out in certain scenes, right? So, but she with her spinoff as Wanda, of course she can balance both. My girl is talented. Absolutely. Did you not see her go from playing somebody strung out on crack to a freaking African goddess. Yeah. Like she got it. She can handle it.
She can do it.
She definitely has range. Because I was believing her. I'm like, did they actually give her crack? Because she is playing this role. Like she was, I was like, when she just punched out Mel in the skating rink, I was not ready. I said, oh my God.
Yeah.
What is happening? She played that role so well. In that moment, I had to remember this was acting. Because she just out of nowhere, they had such a good time just skating around. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like sad because, they strung out on drugs, but they just seem to be having such a great time. And then just whatever. The next thing she like, I'm sorry, girl, I need that necklace. Just bop. I'm like, oh God. And then saw her later.
I saw that coming because
I did not.
There was too much anticipation going on. There was too much tension. And you could just tell Wanda was just off.
Of course. But they both were off. They both were off. I think they did a great job of shocking me. I did not see her about to just hit her like that. And then just walk out. And then later just literally seeing her a little later. Hey girl. I'm like, oh my God.
Acting like nothing was wrong.
Nothing happened. Absolutely not. They did a phenomenal job.
Gail Bean is a phenomenal actress. I'm a big fan of hers, and I can't wait to see her do more work. Very phenomenal.
I am one of her best fans,
and she's from Atlanta.
Oh no! Okay,
and she's from Atlanta. Yep.
Shout out to Marvin.
Same high school.
No, you didn't.
Did y'all go to the same high
he
school?
Lied.
We did not.
He lied about the tweet.
I'm really good at
that. He lied about the tweet.
I did not lie about the tweet. I did not lie about the tweet. I did not.
No, I love that you're giving Vaughn some of his own medicine because he sarcastically tricks people into believing things all the time. And now maybe he'll be redeemable because he's seeing what it feels like. He's learning what it feels like.
Just for the record, I will never be redeemable in that.
When it comes to that,
I will never. I will always.
I kid you not. This is such a random thing. He had someone we know thinking that our dog was laughing. He told a story about hearing the dog laugh. The person really was buying it, sober and everything. They're like, so your dog laughed? And I'm like, yo, he is, because it was such a great setup where it was convincing. The person was like, what? You heard your dog laugh? And I'm like, no, the damn dog ain't laugh. He's playing you, and then he busts out laughing nah, I'm kidding. But they bought it. That's how he be doing people.
So I'm shocked that you got it. I'm shocked that
you just got the king.
I thought we were being on a podcast, being serious.
You just got the king of finessing.
Can't believe
this is not NPR.
No.
Oh man, but yes, Snowfall is a one-of-a-kind TV show.
Absolutely. Watch it if you haven't, even though we just gave you hella spoilers.
But still watch it because
it's amazing.
We cannot do justice in the time that we recorded this on how phenomenal the show is.
Yeah, and we didn't even touch on every single piece. So please still watch it. And if you have watched it, rewatch it, because as we discovered today while we were all talking, we all watched the series and still pointed things out to each other that we missed.
Yep.
So it's definitely important to rewatch and to really take it in and to think about the messages and what it tells us about even today's society, right?
Don't sell crack.
Yeah, and please don't sell crack.
Do not decimate your community by drugs. Please.
Correct. Yes.
And if you do want to sell
not
illegal
crack
narcotics, get into pharmacy, get into pharmaceutical sales.
Yes.
Okay. Go the more legal route. Now, if that route is not available for you, there are resources out there to help you. All you got to do is research, mama. You gotta research.
Yeah. Send us an email.
Yeah.
At boredovereducated@gmail.com. We would love to help. But don't resort to crack.
And please don't sell crack.
And please don't sell crack. We will help you figure out a different career path.
If you must sell anything, let it be nothing more than weed, please, because weed doesn't harm people. Even though I don't want you to, depending on what state you're in, I don't want you to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But don't sell crack.
Let me go back and I really don't mean don't sell crack. Don't sell any illegal narcotic. I don't believe in that. From the great words of Whitney Houston, crack is whack. All right,
crack is very whack.
Crack is cheap. And I'm not talking about monetary value. I'm talking about your soul. Okay,
yep.
You are all too valuable to be dealing in illegal narcotics. We don't do that over here, okay? Like, I don't know what they do across the pond, but over here in our community, we value each other. We lift each other, okay?
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
If we learned anything from Snowfall,
I wish Franklin could.
Yeah, Franklin should have heard your speech.
We do not mess with crack.
Leave crack alone.
I love how his voice cracked when he said crack.
Yeah,
you felt it in
that
your
was part of
spirit.
the artistry.
Yeah, I see your
Gail B, better watch out. Marvin getting a spinoff. Watch out, Gail. Marvin coming.
But no, this is great, y'all. What a wonderful discussion. Thank you all for listening and tuning in as always and supporting the Bored and Overeducated podcast. Again, a special thanks to my hubby and wonderful, wonderful guest co-host, Javon.
I love you guys. Thank you for letting me on your show.
Absolutely. Anytime. We love having you here. And of course, another special thank you to my amazing bestie and wonderful, marvelous co-host, Marvin.
The marvelous, the magical, the mystical.
I'm sorry. I try to remember all your adjectives, boo. I can't.
The lemon pepper.
The lemon pepper.
I know.
He can eat more lemon pepper wings than anyone you know. You think you eat lemon pepper wings? Not like the magical, the marvelous, the majestic Marvin. He eats hella lemon peppers. And yet,
if you are listening to this, if you are queer, if you're gay, if you are a man who likes other men, if you try to get in these draws,
oh Lord,
give me 100 lemon pepper wings.
That's too many damn wings.
Not for him. Not for him. Not for him.
Not the way I eat them.
Not the way he eat them. He gonna eat them lemon peppers and still have energy for you afterwards. Whoever's listening.
That's a lot of wings. They do be good. Yes. They do be good.
They do. Well, we love you all. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you all next time. Peace out.